Previously on Dark Age of Man, A Bleak Winter.
Washburn is sending out men and women emissaries to request that all the aldermen in the region convert the pagans. They have taken the law into their own hand.
They haven't always been approving of my softer hand.
The bank of the river in front of the funeral pyre is ablaze as my wife and two children are laid atop it. At Washburn, the Lynn suffers. I hear he hides in his keep.
I pat Barbara and Maya on the head and say, let's see what the mob has in store. And brother, where have you come from?
Looking over at how would Sylvester, like, what would he be dressed and how would he look?
Sylvester is wearing a dark kind of greenish style cloak. Probably got his gambeson on with the jerkin over the front of it with the sigil of Washburn on it. Medium height, probably somewhere just under 6 foot, maybe 5'8". Very tight curly hair, bushy beard, prominent kind of broad nose, a bit hooked. You can definitely tell that he is of an Italian lineage.
Okay,
but he carries himself as if someone who knows the town, who's lived here.
And I would say, I think at this point, like as the wolves have kind of dispersed or been killed, I would have fallen down, as you know, maybe because it's muddy or there was some ice on the ground or whatever. And I imagine I would have fallen really close to Vidar. And you can see I've got this like barely contained panic look in my eyes. But I would look over to you and I would say, London. I'm from London, brother Aethelwald.
As soon as everything went down like that, now I'm pretty shredded through my sackcloth of a outfit. I don't have any kind of armor on or anything like that. Just the shield, and I had dropped the shield, and you clangs on the ground. And I stalked up to you as you fell, huffing and dragging my axe, and I'll pull it up. Sylvester, you'll see this. And I put it on my shoulder, and it looks like I grab it with my other hand, like I'm getting ready to lift up in your.
And I'm scrabbling away, backwards away from you on
I'm
all
looking.
fours. Yeah,
I'm looking at you, and that recognition is coming to mind. I say, Falcon, where's your God now? You said that you would, if I paid tribute, my family, and I do a broad sweep with my arm back toward the river. They're gone, all of them. Look what in it. You'll see my eyes all red and everything. I'm trying to restrain myself. Tell me what. And then I notice who you are. I look peculiar. You're not Falcon. I look around, not knowing what to do. I get swimmy headed a little bit, and I look at you, and I sigh and drop the axe, and it slides on the ice in front of you. And then I drop on my knees, just start to weep, and then fall in front of you with my head down like a lost man. I'm exhausted from expending all that information, energy running up there and going berserk. Telling my older man, probably about 30, 35 years old, I've got scars that are set deep. My face, barrel chested, red beard and hair. Definitely, and I speak with the accent that very much, like you said, is reminiscent of the people there. This is the first time, well, you take it as it is, what you see, a broken game in front of you.
But now you would be speaking the tongue of this land, the I guess English or early English or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Just not well and with an accent.
When he hits the ground and kind of see that he's spent, and I realize how badly injured he is, I say, well, brother, here's your first test. Welcome to Dredgewater. If you can get this man back to the village, apply any healing abilities that you might have, or at least take him to a medicure. Do not let him die. Every man who can swing an axe is as valuable to the town as it is.
With that, we'll narrate what you guys do in the next couple hours. So I'm assuming, Sylvester, you're going over to the tannery. You're doing what you promised these folks?
Yeah, I go over there. I basically am going to go through stripping the hide, getting it ready to give it to Wilcox. And then I'll quickly, using my a short, thick blade, a boning blade, basically take off the right above the lower pelvic bone, take off that 1/4 at the bottom, and then give the rest to, the peasants who helped me bring it over here. And then I'll divide, debone the 2 legs, 1 leg each for each of the hounds. And then I will kind of an oilcloth wrap up the pelvic bone with a little bit of meat on it, because I know there's going to be a lot of marrow in there that I can take back to Blackleaf.
Brother Aethelwald, tell me what you do with Vidar in the next hour or so.
Sylvester's words penetrated deeper than I would have expected, right? But recognizing it or believing that it was the truth and that this was that holy sort of test from God, right? And so I would steel my nerve and I would kind of stand as best I could, and I would attempt to pull the axe up off of the ground. And I imagine I kind of get it up over my shoulder. I approach Vidar and I put it down next to him. I say, I truly thank you for saving my life. I would not have expected that from, well, I should trust that the Lord will look out for me. My name is Aethelwald.
At that point, I raise my head up through unashamedly the tears that are flowing or whatever. I blot myself and look up at you in silence, and then I get up off my knees and stand. You can tell I'm swaying with the loss of blood, and still, brother, I believe I've lost my way. I need to find it again. Whereas we should seek out Falcone. And then I stumble a little bit and I grab my arm. You'll see his gash and the blood flowing or whatever.
Yeah, and I would grab you kind of to try to help stabilize you, and I would say, sit. You're in no condition to find your way right now, but let me help see if I can patch you up. And here, take this. And I would hand over this water skin, although it isn't water. It contains a sort of a special beer mead kind of brew from, and I would hand it over to you. And it's supposed to help take away the cold and some of the pain. Yeah.
I crumple like a sack of potatoes, you know what I mean? When I do that, and guide me to the ground, and I'll say,
yeah.
Almost missed my mouth a couple of times, and I finally drink it down. And you'll tell I was where I was shaking before. I've calmed down a little bit, and it's almost like the cold is somewhat home-like to me. If I breathe out and relax, and I start looking around, I'm still a little bit like I don't really know where I am. I'm more reflective on things. Yeah, after a time, I'll get up and have a little strength in me, and then we can.
That with the aid of Henry, who returns with Father Falcone. So you meet Falcone just outside of Dredgewater as he comes running back, leading Falcone, and they help Vidar up.
Good job,
along
Henry.
with this drink, they get you back down to Dredgewater to their makeshift. To be quite honest with you, Brother Aethelwald, you can't believe the quality of this chapel. It's sad, right? I mean, it's like 4 wooden walls and a thatched roof, and there's not even pews in this place, right? You walk in, it's the standing room only or kneeling room only kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
they don't even have sacramental wine. It's more like vinegar and
and they immediately go to work patching Vidar, and along with your drink is going to stabilize Vidar, but it will take a few hours longer to reduce your injury to battered, my friend. So it'll take Vidar will need a more rest, maybe a night's rest here. However, it's not yet the noon hour when the man-at-arms, John of Dredge, finds you when are on your way to Blackleaf Inn, maybe to deliver this.
Going on the way to Blackleaf Inn, I've got the little oiled skin hip section of the wolf tucked up underneath my armpit.
Okay.
2 dogs dragging what's left of the bones from the legs,
and they're greedily carrying them along with you as are laying there at your feet as Jules gratefully takes. You're delivering this meat to Jules.
I'm taking it to Jules.
And he is grateful. He thanks you, and he says, "That is quick work. That is quick work, Sylvester. Unbelievable. You are a miracle worker.
Apparently, the Lord brought it to our front door."
You speak. He looks about, and from that you get the feeling he's not a Christian, right?
Yeah.
He says, "Yes, the gods work in mysterious ways," but he downplays that very quietly under his breath, as he doesn't want the whole world knowing this pagan conversion is happening. He gladly takes it and says, "Thank you. We will store this," and that's where John meets you, maybe in the back of the Blackleaf, where you're handing these goods over, and he tells you, "We have Sylvester. We need you and the wolves, and anyone you can take with you. There is rumor of pagans just beyond Dredgewater Downs. They have amassed not far northeast from Dredgewater Downs.
How many?
We do not know, but the
You don't
word
know.
coming down, the word coming down is it is a fairly large group.
I'll need to get my arming sword and stop off at the barracks for my brigandine, but I'll ready up and be good to go in a little while.
Worst case scenario, if it is a mass, do not try to fight them yourselves. Protect or bring Martin from the Dredgewater Downs to the Palisade. We will deal with any large threat. Assess the situation for us best you can.
We'll do, Cap.
We'll fast forward time, right? We're just gonna again narrate, right?
Yeah.
Ethelweld, it's getting dark. Again, winter here, so it's dark fairly quickly. Vidar is improving. He is now at again, he is injured.
Yeah.
So I can't reverse this injury this quickly, but he's stable. You have had an opportunity to meet Falcone. Falcone, tell me what you think of Father Falcone.
I think that Father Falcone is someone who attempts to look and behave above his station or above his surroundings. So he's trying to
putting on airs.
Yes, he's trying to be the most like regal and holy looking person in this just absolute backwater hovel of a place. But maybe not as ostentatious as the Lord because of this, or the, Lord, whatever his name is,
right.
Because, that wouldn't be safe. But he also, I believe, has kind of like a permanent sneer on his face when talking to me anyway. Yeah,
So
I don't get
you think
good.
He looks down on you?
Yes, 100%. And I think he's angry because I've kind of been sent here from the Archbishop in London to do essentially what he should be doing, which is converting the pagans in the surrounding area. And so, but he's well versed in politics and in diplomacy, and so I think he makes a subtle showing of his feelings towards me, but is generally at least acting as though he would be helpful. But basically tells me that of course I can well, but saying more like you're welcome to stay, here in the church, obviously, and partake of any food and whatever that we have, anything that if you want to minister or whatever, do what you want to do, but just otherwise stay out of my way. Yeah.
You should present yourself to the lady, as she is going to want to know you're here. I will take care of Vidar.
Very good.
So he deigns that there's some respect there, but he basically tells you need to go see the Lord and the lady, right? So yeah, he's putting you in your place.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And I certainly would. I think before presenting myself in front of Lady Esmeralda, though, I would pull out my my better, vestments or whatever. The ones that are clean, that don't have wolf blood and maybe Dane blood on them, for all I know.
Yeah, Vidar's blood all over you.
Yeah. And I would go to like kind of straighten back my hair, but then realizing I don't really have any. But it kind of indicates that at one point I may have taken some kind of pride where I shouldn't have. Right. I would look around and find we had brought in my brewing contraptions, and I would kind of put those over to the side, but pull whatever's left of the skin that I have with that brew in it, and I would take maybe a long draft, and then I would make my way towards the keep or whatever whatever it happens to be, the Lord's Manor.
Okay, so as you're preparing, you notice Falcone with a kind of a laugh and a smirk on his face as you're headed out the door.
Okay.
This might signal that it would be, you get the sense that he's sent you on an errand that might not be well received.
I figured as much, but I also believe that Falcone is not going to be the person that is best suited to get to my mission here, right? And so
Yes.
and so I will present myself at the keep.
So as a 14-foot palisade gate that's barred, cross a drawbridge over like a swampy moat, and because it's barred, you'll have to address to get in. Of course, once you state who you are. But let's as you make that traverse, let's go to Vidar. Vidar, Falcone kind of mothers you, right? As you were wounded. I don't know, after you've watched him and Brother Aethelwald exchange pleasantries, get to know each other, assess each other. You may have been paying personal attention to this.
I woken because I've been having fevered dreams, and they probably heard me muttering my wife's name. And then I wake up to the smell of lavender, which is on the bed to keep the fleas away. The little hay pallet that I'm lying on, and I feel a little bit. I feel famished, and so I roll up. Father, food. Do you have any food?
Yeah, he turns and crosses to the small table, brings over a hot bowl of gruel, maybe beans and potatoes.
I haven't eaten in like 3 days.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And while he does, he says a soft prayer, and he basically whispers to you while you eat prayers for your wife and your child. Vidar, she should have had a Christian burial. You should have allowed me to reside over her burial. And so he kind of
I avert my eyes when he says that, because I wasn't thinking about witnessing the smoke, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, I just, I avert my eyes down like that, but Father, your God, you said, and I reiterate, you said if I would pay my tithes, he would protect me, and I've lost everything. And then I kind of call myself from breaking down again as that realization hits me, and I calm myself down and listen to what he said while I continue eating my gruel in silence.
Yeah. So he, on one hand, is praying, but on the other hand, kind of scolding you. At this point, when you say what you say, he says, "That is not the work of God. Your tithings will protect your wife and child as well as your soul. The flooding of dredge, the famine, that is Satan's work. That is this pagan work. And if anything, look deep in your soul, Vidar, that maybe if you hold hope for the pagan gods, you might well have brought their demise."
Pagans, but you said that the land is of the one God.
It is.
And now you say pagans are around.
Have you totally forsaken? Have you accepted Christ as the one God? You must do so.
God, I accept him on the land, and
you must do so. You may well be, unfortunately.
I am on the land. I am on the land, but
we will baptize you again once you are on your feet. Maybe tomorrow morning we will let Brother Aethelwald baptize you. Rest now. And we'll cut over to Sylvester. Think on that, Vidar.
I will. Yeah.
I hate that guy so much right now.
Yeah. He's very accommodating.
Right. Sylvester, so as you approach Dredgewater Downs with your hounds leading the way, now it's dark, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to make sure. So now, am I the only person who is going to be doing this?
That's up to you. If you want to tell me that you've gathered up a couple of peasants who would certainly accept orders from you.
Well, there's anybody else in the barracks who is underneath me as far as being in a group of scouts and rangers that I could collect, 1 or 2 people?
Yeah, they would be young. They'd be young, like bucks, right? You've got your wolves.
As I'm finishing up,
What is your prestige? 2?
My prestige is 2.
So we'll give you 2 more. So you got your 2 wolfhounds. We'll give you 2 soldiers that are ultimately young men under your guidance, right?
Guidance
so
and training.
So you've got 2 mook soldiers. We're gonna call them.
I got some names for you.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, you name them. You name them.
Rolf, Rolf, and Marcus.
Rolf and Marcus, and they'll do whatever you tell them. But it's getting dark. It's very cold. You see many torches about as peasants are actually fairly active, trying to stay warm. Many are in their hovels, but those that are it's been busier after sunset in the winter than you would like it to be. This, you can only guess, could lead to vigilante activities, pagan Christian battles, potential theft of food stores. Who knows, right? But it's unnerving to see how many peasants gather around fires and with torches and pitchforks, etc.
So that was Martin was the name of the individual we were trying to find, right?
Yeah, well, so Martin actually runs the Dredgewater Washburn Arms. So he runs the.
Okay.
It's just like an inn
Yeah.
at the crossroads, and there's one lone little chapel, which is like a tiny little chapel.
Washburn Arms.
that's-
Okay.
Yeah, so the Washburn Arms. So Martin is just the proprietor, and he runs the Washburn Arms on behalf of the Washburns. It's an inn, maybe 3 or 4 room inn, right? It's not like a bar. It's more of a place you can stay
Like a way house.
at the crossroads, right? It takes you,
Okay.
it takes you about 30 minutes to walk there. It's not very far, up and over the rise.
And whereas we were kind of approaching, I tell Rolf and Marcus, to kind of go off towards the right, to flank up to the right, that they
Okay.
are to stick together, that they're not to engage, that we're
Okay.
here to just kind of see what's happening. I'll approach Washburn Arms myself with the hounds. But in the event that a fight breaks out, I do want you to rally to me. Our goal is to make sure that Martin makes it back to the stockade. We're here to collect him and any information that we can find out about what's going on tonight in Dredgewater Downs.
On your way, in the distance, up the old Roman trail road, before you get to the crossroads,
Mhm.
is a wagon sitting in the road, abandoned. As you're giving them orders, you guys go right, don't engage. Your wolfhounds are whining and their snouts are in the air as you see this wagon probably 25 yards from you, abandoned.
Okay.
In the darkness, you can make it out against the silhouette of the horizon.
So I'll make a silencing motion and then point at the wagon and tell them same thing, go to the right, and I will approach on the road.
So as you make your way up to this wagon, you get closer. There doesn't appear to be anyone around at all. It is a fairly large wagon. I mean, this thing, well, let's put it this way. It would belong to a merchant or a craftsman. This is not a dumpy old peasant's wagon. It's covered in hay and a tarp, and the dogs are whimpering and they're up on it, smelling, rooting around. You sense from your dogs that that's something when they're smelling good food, they're smelling something they can eat.
I'll look around on the ground. Since it's winter, there should be plenty of patches of snow and ice and everything sitting around. So I'm going to look for any sign of tracks, the direction which anybody who was the owner of this wagon may have gone. The bow is out, the arrow is knocked, but I am going to kind of be circling the wagon with the intention of spiraling back around to where the dogs are maybe nibbling at the hay or pulling some
Right.
hay out.
For them, it's a fairly positive. It's a positive whimper and excitement kind of. Meanwhile, as you circle the wagon, you do ultimately, out of the corner of your eye, see over off the road, there is a body. However, you've seen, unfortunately, bodies recently about where they've died frozen to death or they've died from famine. However, he is well dressed. From this angle, you can see this is a well dressed individual. You can see where they had horses hooked to this wagon that are now gone. Somebody took the horses and headed, by the way, north from here, right?
Okay.
Ethelweld, of course, is going into the manse, and we have Vidar in Dredgewater. Okay.
So checking out the body, any identifying
The dogs, at that
sigil?
point, the dogs pay attention to what you're doing and they
Yeah,
come over.
I'll kind of whistle to make sure that they do come.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can't read, but I'll look for any parchment or anything that may signify some type of writ or a seal. I could at least recognize a
Sure.
symbol.
So as you flip him over, he is in a black cloak with gold. This is the livery of Mort, of Mort's livery, right? So you can assess this guy might have been a Mort, someone who worked for Mort, von Mort,
Okay.
Vadamot Mort, which is of course. And his body's still warm. He has been skewered, it looks like, and battered about pretty bad. Like somebody may have multiple wounds. He's been stabbed, he's been battered, but the body is still warm. So this has occurred in probably the last 30 minutes or so. I mean, it's so cold that it's warm, but it's hard to tell exactly how long ago because he would put off enough heat despite the cold.
Well, if he's one of Mort's men, then I'll stand up, kind of give him a little bit of a kick, and then go back to the wagon and start pulling at the hay that the dogs were digging at.
Pull through this, you unearth sacks of potatoes. There's some fish, some meat. It's as you go around the wagon, unearthing corners of the wagon, and then maybe climb up into the wagon and more. It's packed full of food.
Oh, hold my hand up, give a fist, and then just kind of pull everybody into me, giving Rolf and Marcus the signal to come in. Is it possible that a group of men could push this wagon?
You certainly could. It would be difficult to steer, and it would be heavy. I mean, remember, Dredgewater Downs is there's a rise, and Dredgewater Downs goes down the rise, so you'd have to push it up a rise and then into Dredgewater. The reality is, though, you're only 100 yards from the crossroads, 6 o'clock in the evening, cold, and you knew there were pagans about. This sucker is exposed. So I'm gonna let you think on that. We're gonna go back to Brother Aethelwold.
I'm gonna do something similar in that I have no intention of presenting myself to Lady Washburn directly, because that would not be proper at all. But I would present myself to the Lord Washburn with a note from the Archbishop, just basically stating, and a purse, somewhat heavy, filled with coin to help the poor downtrodden peasants of this land. Basically just letting him know that that London has heard his lady's call for God's aid to help convert the pagans, and they've sent me to aid in that effort.
Yeah, you've never met him before, but he's middle-aged, 32 maybe, but he looks worse for wear. He looks like he's the stress of the current situation has weighed on him. He looks tired. He's edgy. However, he's grateful. He tells you, Father Falcone, of course, if you have not yet met him, but I'm assuming you guys had this conversation. You explained where it's happened and you're here. He tells you, Lady Esmeralda, we will certainly have you stay here if you want to in the palisade. And of course, it's nicer than, of course, the chapel. It's nicer than what you've seen him, but it's still a wooden, open room, multiple floors, like 3-tier floors. He says you're welcome to stay here among my family and in the Dredgetown, in the manse. He tells you that it would be best to meet Lady Washburn tomorrow when she is available. But he thanks you profusely, and he says, we face hard times, Father, and it is the dilemma between this pagan rituals, what we have seen. We fear there is that God himself is punishing. I should have been more vigilant for years to convert the pagans, and I fear maybe I have run out of time. He averts his eyes as he's clearly pained by this, that he feels he's responsible for the famine and for the flooding of the river. You pick up in the conversation that because he can't handle maybe his responsibility, he is foisting more of this resentment upon the pagan cultists. In the conversation, you can glean that everyone who's a pagan is a cultist, which is not true.
It's not true.
But he's decided all pagans are cultists.
And so to attempt to sort of maybe bring a little bit of comfort, but also to maybe tone down the crazy just a little, I'll be like, well, the God that I know is a God of love and forgiveness, not one of divine retribution. Used to be the case, but no, you've tried your best. And look, he has sent me here to help, to aid you.
Exactly my thoughts as well, Brother Aveld. I'm so thrilled to hear you are in agreement that it is not my fault. It is the pagans. It is these cultists. I am so happy you are here.
Well, don't you worry. The pagans they'll be a challenge to deal with, but there is no challenge too great for God and for the word. But I would give you some advice. Right. In the meantime, do not look on everyone who causes trouble as pagans and cultists. Some are just poor, starving Christians that are desperate. I recommend you use the gift that God has provided you, and I kind of motion to the sack of coins there, to whether it is buy provisions or do whatever you can to help feed the people, to perhaps, perhaps set up fires or makeshift camps somewhere where they can at least have a little bit of comfort and to see their Lord's generosity. Well, boy, that will help a lot in the conversion of the pagans.
With that, he says, Brother Ethelweld, we are thrilled to have you here to convert these pagans, and I will provide you with soldiers that will aid you in any way to make sure these pagans are saved. But I have advisors to how I will deal with this peasant famine. So he basically tells you, I don't need your advice.
Yep.
For the peasants, right?
And picking up on that, I would say, of course, my lord, I've overstepped my place, and I am sorry for that.
No,
your generosity is
well.
more.
You mean well, but I will deal with that. So he takes a little umbrage to your advice. He then invites you to eat with him, and he's surrounded. His children aren't here. His wife's not here. He has surrounded himself in a private chamber in which he invites you to sit and dine with him. And he sits some young soldiers down that he says are part of his house guard. Yep. And these will be the men that will aid you in converting these pagans. Do not hesitate to use their sword. Do not hesitate to use their whip to put these pagans in order. That isn't. He doesn't say that lightly. He's pretty much saying.
Yeah, there's that fervor there.
Yeah.
He's like, let's.
And you get the sense that they're going to be watching you for him as well. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
understood. Conversion by fire and blood is the preferred method. Yeah.
Well, maybe not for you, but he's
no for the
so.
For him and perhaps for the
he's
the
desperate.
religious
He
authority
wants these
of this
pagans
town.
dealt with. Yeah.
I got you.